Okay, hey, here's the deal. Here's going to be our next thing. This is something that Ryan requested. We react to. And so we're going to react to it. Ryan, I really am curious to see what... Did you have, like, are you going to explain what this has to do with theology?
Yeah, well, this video is going to open us up to a question that I'm going to ask.
Okay.
And then I also have a few other related thoughts to this.
Okay. Well, gear up. We're about to watch this video.
Is it the puppy eating McDonald's video?
No, it's not that.
Okay, because I was curious about the theology of that one.
Right, yeah. Maybe for a different episode we can explore that.
Okay, I gotcha.
Okay, and here we go.
Security! This is cringe.
Oh,
I like how he said security with the question mark.
Security? A perfectly good can of soup.
So, by the way, what you're looking at, they're gluing themselves to the wall.
Is that super glue?
It's super glue,
That sounds extremely painful.
Yeah.
What is worth more, art or life? Is it worth more than food?
No, that's not the question.
Worth more than justice? Are you more concerned about the protection of a painting or the protection of our planet and people? The cost of living crisis is part of the cost of oil crisis. Fuel is unaffordable to millions of cold, hungry families. They can't even afford to heat a tin of soup. Meanwhile, crops are failing. Millions of people are dying in monsoons, wildfires, and severe drought. We cannot afford new oil and gas. It is going to take everything we know and love.
So, yeah, just, by the way, this video is, I think this was like a week or 2 weeks ago, so it's kind of old now. But what you're seeing, that is activists from the group Just Stop Oil. You could probably guess they're against oil. So their goal is to, and this is, I'm quoting from an article here, their goal is to ensure that the government, this being the UK government, commits to ending all new licenses and consents for the consents for the exploration, development, and production of fossil fuels in the UK. So they're against fossil fuel usage in the UK, and so they have thrown tomato soup on Van Gogh's Sunflowers, which his painting Sunflowers.
1875 or something.
It's late 19th century, and Sunflowers is one of his more famous paintings. This Van Gogh.
But they didn't ruin it.
So when I first watched this video, literally my jaw dropped because I'm like, they just destroyed a masterpiece with their tomato soup. And literally my heart sunk into my stomach. Like I was flabbergasted.
I actually had the same feeling when I saw it.
Yeah,
I was so disgusted by it. Upon further reading about this incident, the painting is fine. So it's behind glass. Okay. And it's really hard to notice in the video. It doesn't look like it's behind glass in the video, but it is in fact behind glass. And so the museum, the curators, the people in the museum said the painting is fortunately, it's fine.
Oh, that's good.
The frame has taken some damage, which is unfortunate.
Well, you just need a rag.
But yeah, a good wet rag, yes.
Wipe.
But the painting is fine.
Okay.
So the question that I want to bring to the floor for you all is, what is an appropriate way for a Christian to protest? Or how are Christians to protest things? So in this video, they're protesting fossil fuel usage. And so they're climate activists. And this group, they've done a lot of stuff. This is not their only incident with messing with paintings. They've superglued themselves to the frames of other paintings. This is the first, I think, with tomato soup.
But why the paintings?
Are they oil paintings?
I'm like, what's with the soup and what's with the painting? Like, I get they're saying that people can't afford soup.
They're saying people can't afford the soup, but is it an oil painting? Is that why those?
It's an oil painting.
Well, I think oils. I think Van Gogh did use oils in his painting, but But I think the point is, and she talked about this as she was gluing herself to the wall, is which sounds very silly when I say that, is that if our environment, if our world is destroyed, then future generations are not going to be able to enjoy this art.
Anyway.
And we're spending all this money on preserving this art when we could be spending money on helping the poor.
So before we get to your question,
They can't enjoy art when there's tomato soup on it either.
That's true.
yeah, before I even address your question, there's just so much flawed with that logic, right? It's like this is the whole thing where it's like you only think in a utilitarian way, and like these things don't have value just because there are things we need to do that are utilitarian over here. That this, you know what I mean? Like, and it also assumes that just because we have this painting and we're protecting it, we place greater value on it than the environment.
Right.
There's all these weird assumptions that come with this type of protest.
Yeah.
As far as like how should Christians protest, I mean, right off the top of my head, just thinking of Jesus' Sermon on the Mount and thinking of the Gospels, like I really don't know that there is like the Christians didn't protest when they were being like beheaded or used as human torches. Like I don't really see like an area where it might be appropriate for us as Christians to protest. I think it's antithetical to.
I would struggle with that statement though too, because I think of like I'm grateful for the protests that were conducted during the civil rights movement.
Yeah, I was just gonna say MLK.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That's good stuff too. But like a lot of that stuff was like a lot of boycotting stuff like that. So like
Peaceful protests.
Peaceful protesting and not like the destruction of property. So I think of like Rosa Parks and the boycotts against the bus lines that occurred after her arrest.
Yeah, that's true.
And that led to, I believe, to the desegregation of the bus services in her city. I can't remember. It's somewhere in Alabama, but. So I do think there are appropriate times in which
and it sounds like methods as well. You know,
Yeah.
you're talking about passive.
But I was gonna say, to play devil's advocate here, like this is technically a peaceful protest. They didn't hurt anybody. The painting was not damaged.
Yes.
The frame was, and probably some of the wall. I don't think it's right, but I'm saying like
it certainly brought attention to the matter. Because we're all talking about it.
Right,
and that's what they want. They want us to be talking about it.
But, like, I just think of, like, Selma and the marches and things like that happen. Like, blocking traffic isn't hurting a human being or damaging someone's property. Like, that still gets attention.
Well, here's the thing.
You can block a road or do something like that.
I've seen videos, too. This same group, Just Stop Oil, they've done other protests where they have blocked highways and stuff. But that does have the potential to harm people, too, because of, like, I've seen videos they won't even let, like, ambulances go through. Stuff like that. I saw a video of a dude who was on parole, and he was, like, begging the group to move out of the way so he could get to his job so he wouldn't get arrested again. And, like, seeing that also, like, angered me a lot, because it's just this dude who's trying to live a good life again, and they're preventing him from getting to his job and possibly breaking his parole. So I don't know, even something like that makes me a little angry.
What I'll say is, with a lot of protests, not just this, but just a ton I've seen in the news recently for the past couple years, I don't get how the protest is supposed to do anything other except talk about it, but there's no like for example, when you want to tell someone how to help their life or counsel somebody in some way, you give them practical things that they can do to help the cause. When you just say stop oil or save the planet, that's such a vague thing that I as little human boy man don't know what to do, so I just don't do anything except talk about it. And that's what I feel like a lot of people do. We just talk about things. There's no action done, because it's not like they put their hand on the wall and said, visit this website and donate to something, or join this cause or read this, or nothing. It's just oil.
Yeah, I guess the question would be, like, do these protests, like, feed into change eventually? You know,
Right.
I would assume that there was some connection between what Rosa Parks did and some of the other boycotts and the actual change that came about, although I couldn't verify that right here. You know, at the end of the day, that's not where the change happened. Not that
Right.
not that it shouldn't have been done, but I'm just saying like. It is hard to know like what is the correlation between the protesting and then actual actionable change.
Yeah. Well, I think even like this whole thing, it got a lot of attention just for the common person, but it didn't hurt big oil.
Right.
Like that's
Right,
what
exactly. It didn't do anything.
a lot of climate activists, at least I've seen in the past too, is they try and hit them where it hurts. In like I think of like activists back then who like chained themselves to trees when companies like the lumber companies were cutting down trees. They chained themselves to trees to prevent the trees from being cut down. I feel like that's better than this because you're actually hurting the companies that are doing that. I mean, I don't know if I would actually advocate for that. And I certainly wouldn't.
You heard it
do
right
that.
here. Ryan wants to hurt corporate.
Yeah, he's going to
entities.
tie himself to a tree at 200
I feel like
subs.
to me it seems more effective. I think. I don't know. I mean,
I don't know.
These people are getting exactly what they want here because they're getting us to talk about it.
Right, that's true.
But I don't know if that's the most effective means.
But I'm just saying, I'm just thinking of it like I'm a rational human being. Like, bipartisan. I just, I want the planet to be healthy. I want my kids to enjoy the planet. But what are the practical steps? Like, for example, they talk about like oil evil. Like, what are we going to stop driving cars? Like, they had to drive a car to get to the museum to do that. So, unless they rode their bike, but I'm not riding my bike to work.
Which uses gas.
Or a bus, which uses. So I'm saying that our world is built around that. Now, in the future, we might have solar stuff, and I don't know what the future holds. But you can't just get rid of all of that to.
Yeah, and I really hate the attacking art tactic because especially over the summer personally, like I went to a lot of places and I visited a lot of like art museums and I really grew to love art. And to me, like art in a cultural sense, like art, creating art and enjoying art is one of the ways in which we have hope for our future, because by creating art, you are doing this act that in some way you do have this hope that somebody else is going to enjoy that piece.
Right.
Whether that's your friends and family or somebody down the line in the future who sees this, just like Van Gogh's painting. I don't know who he painted it for, but we're enjoying it here today. And so that's a testament to art's power, I think.
In the book Futureville by Sky Jitani, he talks about this story.
Johnny, we're not allowed to mention him here.
Well, you can edit it out.
No, we got a lot of angry comments about those guys.
This is a radical quote I heard one time. No, I mean, this is great. This is great stuff. He's talking about utilitarianism and how Christians sometimes, especially evangelical Christians, how we can sometimes like bend ourselves towards utilitarianism when we forget that it's okay for things to just be there for beauty's sake. And he tells this story of, I forget exactly what the location was, but it was during the context of a war, and there was a crater in the middle of the city because of the war and like the different things that were happening. And this violinist would go down into the crater. Maybe it was I don't know exactly what instrument they were playing, but they were very good at it, very proficient, very well known. And they would go down into the crater and play their instrument, and it would kind of like fill the town, and it gave a lot of people hope. And so it's this sort of thing of like, does that fill the crater? Does that stop the war? No. Should it not be happening? Well, no, it should be happening. Like, it's a good thing, right? So for you to throw soup on a painting in the middle, like maybe the world is on fire, and you're right about that. Why would you get rid of something beautiful?
Right, that just makes it worse.
Yeah, to make it worse, right? So that's where it all breaks down for me. But
yeah. So I'm very happy to hear that the painting was not destroyed, and I hope they don't do stuff like that again.
Yeah.
Because
don't glue yourself to the wall. There's better ways of getting your point across.
I'm more concerned about that now that I know the painting's okay. Now I didn't realize they glued themselves to the wall.
Yeah, are their hands okay?
I hope they're fine.
Yeah. So that's all I got.